Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. A couple of weeks ago I did something called a toss-it cake, which is an old English biscuit cookie, kind of like a shortbread, but it's a savory shortbread. It was a really nice cookie. And while I was researching that, I kind of went down a rabbit hole and looked at a whole bunch of other old-time English biscuits or cookies, what we would call here as a cookie, because they were mostly sweet, even though there was some savory elements. So while I was down this rabbit hole, I came across this recipe for Grasmere gingerbread. And so as I was searching for it, it seemed to pop up sometime in the late 1800s. Most of the recipes that I came across sort of originated in that time period, and there weren't too many variations on the recipe from like the late 1800s into the 1920s. So in this food processor I have flour, baking soda, and cream of tartar, and I'm going to add some dry ground ginger to that. And I'm also going to put in some butter. Now the idea here is that you're supposed to cut in or rub in the butter to the flour and use your hands and your fingers in a bowl. The food processor just does such a great job of that. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to pulse. It just makes such quick work of it. It's done already. What would take you by hand far too long, in my opinion, just gets done really quickly this way. So into a bowl, I'm going to put this mixture, and we're going to mix in the sugars. Now, a lot of people are going to be saying baking soda and cream of tartar. Why not just use baking powder? Definitely could. Baking powder is the way to go in 2020, if that's what you have, because most people probably don't have cream of tartar in their cupboard. Next in is some brown sugar, and that is just supposed to be mixed in. And this is a point where you could probably get in there with your fingers and mix it in. So you could also use self-rising flour if that's what you have. If you live in the UK, you could use self-raising flour if that's what you had. Both of those are slightly different, but they come to the same place in that they're flour mixed with the leavening agent, and you don't have to add anything else. So if that's what you have, go ahead and use it. April 2020, everyone has to sort of get by with what they've got in their cupboard. Next in, all of the recipes asked for golden syrup. I don't have any in my cupboard. Golden syrup isn't necessarily a thing here in Canada. There are places where you can buy it, but it is fairly expensive. And although you could order it, or I could order it from Amazon, lead times on Amazon right now are ridiculous. And it's very expensive. So I'm going to use this golden corn syrup. It's a dark corn syrup that we have here in Canada, and it's not the same, but it is an invert sugar. So golden syrup is an invert sugar, which means they take sucrose, they use an acid, they break it into glucose and fructose. Slightly different flavor, but it's what I've got, so it's what I'm going to use. And for everybody who's going to start on about high fructose corn syrup, this is not high fructose corn syrup. That's something else yet again. All of the recipes say to mix the syrup in with a knife, so I'm doing that. And I think I've got it mixed in as well as I can. And they all say to bake it in a sandwich loaf and then cut the rounds after into triangles. And it took me a little while to sort of wrap my head around that, because we don't call this a sandwich loaf here, or a sandwich tin in Canada. This is just a cake tin, a round cake tin. So I've got one, I've got it buttered up, and this one has this really nice slicing knife on the bottom so that you can get everything out. In it goes, and we press it down. The oven is preheated to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm going to stick this in. All the recipes sort of give me a range of somewhere between 40 minutes and an hour before you pull it out and cut it and sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top. So,
Hey friends,
I don't know what knife is the best one. I have a feeling that I should have
Cut
cut
it when
this
it was
when it was still warm.
warm. Yeah.
But I was
Maybe.
going full tilt on making brioche buns for the smash burgers we just had for
Very
supper,
good.
which were excellent. So this is a Grasmere gingerbread.
Grasmere because it's the town of
The
Grasmere?
town of Grasmere
Okay.
in England. There's a whole bunch of lore around this, but I'm not going to get into that because, you know, I may not be saying it correctly. Oh,
Does cut nicely, actually.
Yeah, it's much nicer than I thought. So,
But I'm sure the people at Grassmere have worked on it for a long time.
yes. That pan was the perfect pan. That's so funny that, I go down to the basement and there was the pan that
Dun, dun,
was the right
dun.
one. So, that looks wonderful.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Sounds chewy.
Ginger?
It is chewy.
Now, I don't want to make changes to a 100 and some odd year old biscuit. But I wonder, it's wonderful.
It's great.
It's great.
It's nice and gingery. It's not overwhelmingly gingery. It, is nice and chewy.
It's
You
got
can't go wrong.
got great texture. It's fantastic.
You can share. You can not share.
Yeah.
You have choices in this one.
But
One cookie just for me.
candied ginger, I think, would be really nice in this
Yes.
for a little extra ginger hit. But this is wonderful. And when I taste stuff like this, super simple to make, not very fussy with ingredients, like an easy ingredient list. It tastes amazing.
Yes.
Why did they disappear? Why did it not catch on? Why have I never heard of this before?
Well,
Is there so much that you just can't hear of everything, which is one reason?
it could just be that it goes out of favor. Like, things are often exciting when they're brand new to you.
And then it just,
And then when they've been,
oh, my grandmother liked that.
there's also that thing that,
That's for old people.
that's for old people problem.
Give me this and a pint of mild, and I'm happy.
All right, then.
So,
So there's Glenn's Sunday afternoon planned.
so this is super easy to make. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients, and they're probably ingredients that you have in your home. Don't feel bad if you have to make a couple of substitutions like I did. So it's still going to be a fantastic cookie. Thanks for stopping by. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you again.